So here at Just Seen It, we had the pleasure of seeing a documentary called Ballplayer Pelotero, and luckily we have one of the filmmakers, Jon Paley, here with us via Skype, and we're going to ask him a few questions about the movie. Liz?
Hi, Jonathan. It's been a while since I've seen you. I didn't even know you were interested in documentary. How did this project get started?
It started my senior year at WashU, and I heard about a grant for $5,000 to go do whatever you want, basically. And I had heard about the Dominican baseball system, was really interested in it. So we decided to just do it on a lark, and we went down there for 2 weeks on a research trip. And we came back not knowing all that much more than we did beforehand, but we were hooked. So we spent about a year after that fundraising, researching, getting stuff together before we moved down there in January 2009, and we were there for 9 months after that.
I know that there's a bit of a controversy about how Major League Baseball is portrayed in your movie. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the controversy is and what the MLB's response has been?
Well, I would love to know what the controversy is. Bud Selig was asked about our film at the All-Star break, and he responded that Major League Baseball believes the film is inaccurate and that they were never given a chance to comment. In the next sentence, he went on to say that he hasn't seen the film. If the commissioner wants to have an open conversation about the Dominican Republic, about the issues there, and watch the film, I will gladly bring the popcorn.
And would you say that those actions from the MLB are fair actions within the country, or do you think that something should change?
They've done a lot to protect teams from kids lying about their age with these suspensions and the investigations. You can understand why a 16-year-old might lie about his age when it's the only chance he'll ever have to escape poverty and, help his family. But I personally believe that institutions like Major League Baseball, the teams involved in Major League Baseball, we expect to be held to a higher moral standard than a bunch of poor teenagers in the Dominican Republic.
Did your film develop around the scandal, or did you hear about these scandals involving Major League Baseball early on?
We didn't set out to make a film about a scandal or about this scandalous system. We didn't set out to make an expose, We set out to answer a very simple question: why are Dominicans so good at baseball? And it turns out to be a very complicated answer, which often involves these kind of nefarious, shadowy figures and things that, wouldn't necessarily fly in the United States.
So why do you think the scout that went after Miguel Angel was declining an interview?
Well, he actually originally agreed to do an interview before his bosses at the Pirates told him that he couldn't. His attitude is it's his job to sign the best players for the least amount of money, and he doesn't think he did anything wrong. And neither do the Pirates, because he still has a job there.
Do you still keep in touch with the boys?
We do, actually. We're one of our follow-up projects that we're working on is a sequel to this, where we are going to be following Miguel and hopefully young Carlos as well, all the way through the minor leagues, kind of hoop dream style, to try and have this, 6-year period, 7-year period from the time these kids are 15, penniless, competing with 100,000 other kids on this tiny little island, to hopefully, walking onto the major league stadium for the first time.
I would assume that you and your fellow directors, Ross Finkel and Trevor Martin, are pretty big baseball fans. Is that a fair assessment?
That is a fair assessment. Yeah, this whole project kind of started because I grew up in Baltimore as an Orioles fan, which is a depressing thing to be. I started following the minor leagues a lot more closely because it was bleak at the majors. You can't miss it in the minors. It's 25%. It's one of every 4 guys is Dominican, and I just wanted to know why.
I'm going to ask you, of course, the producer's question. You mentioned earlier that you got $5,000 in grants to start this project. Where did you get the other funding for it?
Well, it was a struggle from day one. We had that grant for our research trip, but when we decided to go back and, we knew we had to be on the ground there for an extended period of time to make this successful. So we knew we had to raise a good amount of money. And, at the start, we did it independently with my 2 co-directors. And we basically begged, borrowed, and stole everything we could, We did it incredibly on the cheap. Luckily living in the Dominican Republic is relatively affordable. We shot the entire movie for pennies. And when we came back, to the States after the Dominican Republic, we were broke, and we had the whole film in the can and didn't have anything to do with it. And post-production is a expensive process. We spent about a year after that pitching various investors, everything from ESPN to HBO to individual production companies or individual investors who may have never had anything to do with film before. And, we were lucky enough to very serendipitously be introduced to Bobby Valentine's production company. He's the manager of the Red Sox. And at the same exact time that we were looking for this funding, he had just started a documentary sports production company. And they were looking for a slate of films. And, it was lucky. But we were in the right place at the right time. And, we became their first film that they provided the finishing funds for, to give us the ability to go back, edit the film, do the post, license the music, and get it out there.
So what's the one thing you want viewers to take away after seeing Ballplayer Pelotero?
It's not that baseball in the Dominican Republic is a bad thing, because it's a great thing. It's great for the country and it's great for baseball and the fans. But I think we just need to always kind of be cognizant of the costs of that and try to make it a better thing. Try to make it better.
On behalf of the entire cast and crew, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I love what you guys are doing, so keep it up. If Bud Selig wants to watch the film, I will gladly bring the popcorn.